Ken had another interesting. His question really could be broken into a couple of questions, and one thing I'd like to pull out of his overall question was, what are the very best results in guided meditations? Because I've found that there's a lot of different things you can inject into a meditation or take out or change the ordering. You can have binaural beats, intention, way do you do it, energy raising, mantras or chanting, where do you put those in, guided breathing, before or after, when do you visualize? So for you, what's worked the best results for your guided meditations?
I don't like to talk about results when it comes to meditation because it's a journey, especially when it's a guided meditation. You're offered to go on a trip, on a journey, and I personally can only enjoy that journey if I let go of my results. And sometimes it'll be a short journey and there's not much to see because it's raining outside, and sometimes I get beautiful sunshine and lovely scenery, and the result actually is the journey. I find that I block myself if I get stuck on result orientation.
I realized when you were saying that I've been doing that somewhat. I'm very into applying meditation for specific situations, and it works better than, sometimes it works great, sometimes it doesn't work that hot. And I haven't been letting myself just go with the flow in a couple weeks now. I've been very on point trying to get things done. And so thank you for that. I'm going to try just a free flow here when we get done. Maybe if I'm not in the maybe in the flotation tank, see what happens. So thanks, Ken. Those are some. That was a great question from you. Appreciate it. So we're going to now hear from. This is a comment. A couple people have sort of asked this. Something similar along the same lines between Cecilia, Deanne, and Shravan, which is meditation for anxiety, feeling bad about yourself, depression, or even in the meditation itself. Does meditation treat that? What about if you're feeling it in the meditation, you're feeling uneasy, what to do? So this may be two questions. First, so let's ask the first one. Meditation for depression or anxiety, can that help?
Absolutely. In the long run, those problems will take care of themselves by just having a regular meditation practice. But in severe anxiety situations especially, and I just went through that for the first time in my life. I never knew what anxiety was, and not too long ago I started feeling a little anxiety. And what worked for me was to set some time away, to make it a priority. When I started to feel this anxiety coming on, I excused myself and left for the bathroom and took a minute to breathe and to come back to my own center and to acknowledge what was happening, but not to judge it and not to get caught up in that anxiety theater that was going on in my head and therefore in my feelings. Setting the intention to be present in the now is, for both, for anxiety and for depression, I feel the best you can do. And it takes a little training, not too much. Once you feel the effects, and that'll come rather quickly, you can appreciate the value of just taking a breath, closing your eyes, and say to yourself, I am present now. And what's happening in the present has nothing to do with that theater going on in your head about anxiety and fear and whatever is occupying your mind.
I would say that there's been a lot of studies done that show marked improvement in people that are using meditation for depression or anxiety attacks. Personally, for me, I had anxiety attacks a couple times. Once when I was 20, I started getting them out of nowhere. And actually, there happened to be an article in the Lewiston Auburn, Maine paper about anxiety attacks. So I had to self-diagnose myself. I had undergone all these tests. They were trying to figure out something wrong with my heart because it was beating so fast. And it was myself and anxiety. And the way I got over it was through one, being aware of that's what it was. I wasn't actually something wrong with me. And two, I ordered away for some cassette tapes that did guided visualization breathing. I didn't know that. It just said, hey, stop panic now or something was how it worked, how they worded it. And I ordered them, and I did these guided visualizations, and which was meditation, and it worked for me. So I'm card-carrying member of meditation does help with anxiety attacks. Recently, I had an anxiety attack on a very small airplane of 8 people. We were flying from Boston to Nantucket. And on the flight over, I was just mortified. And I was with my best friend, my wife, my daughter, and a few other people on a plane. We were headed on vacation for a week. I was mortified on the flight over. And I tried to detach, and you said power now, this is what reminded me of it. I was detaching myself from it, trying to think of all these other things, and nothing worked. Fortunately, it was only a 20-minute flight, but a 20-minute of terror. And then on the flight back, I was quite nervous getting on the plane, and it started as soon as we went up. And I was even like irritated with myself because here I'm a meditation guy, normally very calm, and it was just like involuntarily I was feeling very tense and starting to feel like I was not going to be able to breathe, all these ridiculous thoughts. And so what I decided to do then was fully embrace that I was in a tiny plane and look out the window and look how I could see the pilot like 5 feet away and look at how small the wings were and look at how, and I was very in the moment instead of very out of the moment. And the fear evaporated within 20 seconds. And it was an awesome flight. And those small planes are actually really fun, come to find out. But I had to be very present instead of very unconscious. So that is something to try if there's specific triggers, or I would agree with you. The anxiety starts coming on. Start focusing very intently on whatever's going on and see how that helps.
And know that you're not your fear, and that you're not that anxiety. Those are thought processes that are almost automated in your head, and it's a projection of something that is not actually happening. So if you keep that in your mind, in your awareness, it'll also help you calm down and breathe, come back to the moment.
If you're having anxiety in a meditation, if that's coming up for you consistently, so you're avoiding meditation maybe because you get anxiety, try meditation again, have a watch handy, and when you get anxious, look at, you'll probably pop out of the meditation if you're feeling anxiety, imagine. Look at your watch and see how long it took you. And then the next time, then retry the meditation and set an alarm or something, or have your cell phone's going to buzz, or a meditation timer if you got something like that, to keep bringing you back to the present moment. And so that's where you can sort of check in with yourself in the middle of the meditation so that you can then face it. Because meditation is a perfect form, I think, to face anxiety, where you're as relaxed as you're going to be, where you can actually feel it coming on and be present to noticing it roll in and then realizing there's nothing there.
Right.
So that's something else to try. So thank you for that. That's kind of a combination of questions.
Maybe to add to that, depression is a different thing than anxiety, obviously. And what works with depression is positive imagery. There's a lot of guided meditations available that treat depressions, but you can also come up with your own and meditate to a series of pictures that you feel comfortable with, that represent something positive from the past, or something that you wish for yourself, and sort of make your own little picture book that you can go through in your mind and raise your vibration that way.
Excellent. So we have 2 more that we're going to do today. And the first question of the last 2 is from Paul, who said, how can meditation be used to make a conscious connection with our guardian angel? Which he put in quotes because let's treat this question as both guardian angel or in touch with our intuition or higher source, because in general it may not be known to the audience, but I kind of think it's an accepted thing that those, you may have a visual representation, you may not, but you're getting some sort of higher level non-physical information. What's the best way to do that?
Again, as I said earlier, intention is the key here. If I would like to make a connection with my higher self, that's how I like to call it, or a spirit guide maybe, I ask for that very specifically. And I do not ask for wealth or money or a new girlfriend or whatever it is at the same time. I dedicate some time to that process, and I make sure that my intention is clear and that I'm open to receive on all levels, and that I don't limit myself to my expectations of maybe visionary experiences, auditive experiences, or kinesthetic experiences. Whatever comes in, I'm open to receive that, and later, I write it down or I speak it into my voice recorder, and then I can go and listen to it again and see, how does it feel? What were the signals that I received, and is there something in there that rings a bell?
Yeah, I would say when you're going to go in and ask for guidance, a clear, open-ended intention, such as, during this meditation, I would like to receive guidance from my higher self. Say that intention, and then go through, and you're going to want some amount of time to get just to deep relaxation, because you have the better chance of hearing information, at least for me, and in my opinion, a decent amount of people, is the more you can shut down the outside physical world. So that might mean that you have a darkened room and you have the shades drawn, and you're ensured you're going to have no interruptions, and then you're going to listen to, you're going to Om for 5 minutes, and then you're going to put on a guided meditation, not a guided meditation, meditation music, and just say that one thing and then just wait. That'd be one way to do it. You might not have that opportunity. You might have to try something at work, or you might want to, it doesn't necessarily have to be that dramatic as I said, but I find it increases the chances of me interpreting information that I feel came from a higher information source. The less chance, the more I've lowered the physical input.
Yeah, I would agree. Maybe on a specific example, and don't only look for the answer or the communication within your meditation session, because sometimes these signals and messages will come in, a day later, or an hour later, or maybe even a week later, because they're not linear. Wherever our guidance comes from, that's a place where time and space don't have the same importance than they have here in, if you want to call it this reality or different reality. And so look out for signals and answers over the next couple of days, maybe, or even weeks. I just went through that myself. I started a new relationship, and I was terrified about it because I did not set that intention. I had decided to be single and to enjoy my life that way for a while, and love just came flowing at me, and I completely panicked. And
Is that
I was
the
able
anxiety
to,
you're talking about?
That was that anxiety I was talking about. And I sat away a few minutes and just tried to calm down whenever that anxiety would rise. And I asked for my guidance, and I said specifically, I need help with this because I'm completely overwhelmed with the situation. I did not want to be in it, but obviously there's got to be something in it for me. So give me some kind of sign, how am I supposed to deal with that? Because I can't wrap my mind around the idea of settling down and starting a serious relationship at this point. And not even 2 hours later, I walked through a store with my girlfriend, and I saw a postcard from the designer of Story People that said, when I first met her, I knew instantly that I had to take a few days to rearrange my mind so she can have a place to stay. And that was the sign. I knew instantly. I just knew that was the sign. And that gave me some really important guidance that I had to rearrange my mind. And I took a couple of days off and went and did that, and now I'm a happy camper. So everything worked out beautifully.
Excellent. I would add on the guidance thing to have a notepad right by your nightstand or bed or desk if you're sitting up, which we'll get to positions as the next question. Have one there and write things down as soon as you're done, because you'll think, oh my God, that was the most vivid experience. It was insert religious figure came down and told me all these things, but inevitably the more duration from a non-physical perception, the harder it will be to write down the specifics, and then it'll get more and more fuzzy. So just write it down right away. I highly recommend that, because if I have a notepad right there, I can have 3-4 pages sometimes of information. And if I think about it, all of a sudden it'll be, something about changing my website or something. And so from experience, I'll tell you, capture it right away, because it's elusive until you get the hang of capturing your experiences.
Also, what I feel is important is not to get stuck on expectations again. You know, sometimes my guidance will come in as an image, sometimes it'll come in through the words of a stranger, and sometimes it'll come in as, you know, an accident maybe even. And at the beginning, when I started to be aware of this communication process with my guidance, I had the expectation that it would come in as a visual experience every single time. So that's what I was looking out for. And I didn't pay attention to anything else until I realized, you know, the channel was shut off. There was nothing coming for months. And then someone told me, you know, just be open and feel. Maybe it's kinesthetic. Maybe it's somewhere else. Maybe you need to look up in the sky. And that's very important to
Very important.
be open.
Because like I see here that the question said guardian angel in quotes. I assume you meant just that as a metaphor. If you're waiting for the guardian angel to show, and you're looking for that, you could be getting whispered in your ear some key piece of information, or it could seem to be being whispered in your ear, but you don't hear it because you're too busy looking around for where's the angel wings, and then you missed it, and you keep missing it until you don't have that expectation. I had guidance once from something, and it was about a foot tall, looked like a Papa Smurf, or the Expedia gnome was talking to me, something like that. Now I have no idea who that or what that was, or how it, whether that was really what it looks like, and I didn't really care. It was giving me great information, and it was because I wasn't looking for a specific figure to talk to me. So keep that in mind. If you see any gnomes running around, tell them I said thanks. The last question is interesting here from Chris, who asks, after years of trying to meditate, I'm still no further ahead. I seem to go into a relaxed state, but I'm asleep after a few minutes. I make sure I'm not lying down. For example, I sit in a chair with hands upturned. Couple questions out of this one. I want to take the last part of that first. I sit in a chair with hands upturned. What do you think about meditation positions in general? What's your best meditation position?
Well, that also is a very personal thing to figure out. For me, lying down works well. For most people, it doesn't, because they do tend to fall asleep. But I meditate wherever I can. If I'm on an airplane, it'll be in a coach seat. If I'm in line at the grocery store, then and I see it'll take forever, I might set away a couple of minutes for meditation and do it standing up. Technically, you can meditate wherever you are. It doesn't take a big preparation process, and it doesn't take a specific set idea on how it has to be done. It's trial and error. You know, it's a process. Find out for yourself. But if you feel that you're constantly falling asleep, then I would start off with setting a very clear intention that I am asking to stay awake for the next 10 minutes, and you'll see it make all the difference.
Intention's good, and I would add, you might want to create a tape and just add a reminder to yourself after every 5 minutes, and loop it in your MP3 player. And all it is your voice saying every couple of minutes, hey, don't forget you're meditating, or whatever your intention is. If you were Paul doing that, you might say, I am open to guidance now, and have it play once every 5 minutes, so then it's going to hopefully wake you up. And then if you try that and it didn't wake you up, then say it twice, or increase the volume, add a gong, add a quick burst of music. It's not going to take some high-tech thing to do, just add in a little interruption so that if you conk out, you get woke back up, but you can still then continue on with your meditation. Now, the other part of that is, I'm still no further ahead. No.
That's a really tough one to answer, because I don't know where you started out from, and I don't know where you're at right now. I'm pretty sure you've come a long way just, by realizing that you are in a process, and you're projecting frustration onto the process, but that would require a one-on-one talk to figure out what's really going on. It's a little bit too general to answer for me.
I would think that it's not further ahead because the next sentence says, I seem to go into a relaxed state, but am asleep after a few minutes. So let's interpret the question as I can't stay in the now moment meditating the whole period. So if someone can stay present for 3-4 minutes, then they follow every meditation, they're waking up. I mean, they're waking up at the end of it, and they're like, oh man, I fell asleep again, which seems to be what's happening with our friend Chris here. Now, what in addition to that reminder, is there anything else that can, in the intention, I guess those would be the best probably suggestions to attempt. Do you have anything further to add to that?
Well, I think we already answered that with the second part of that question.
Maybe, one thing that worked really well for me, I was at the Monroe Institute, and I really was big, like everyone, in trying to see things in my meditations or have experiences. And what really flipped the switch for me, in addition to not having the expectation, because it was a day and a half and I wasn't seeing anything, and I was like, oh man, or I wasn't seeing enough. It didn't feel life-changing enough. Was I added some extremely loud, there's a period in the meditation process that they subscribe to where you start hearing these monks chant. And you can hear them if you, the Gateway series on my website, if you order the first one, the chants are in all those. Where these monks come on and you're supposed to Om along with them, however you decide to do that. And for me, when I Om as loud as I can, and I sound literally almost yelling it out, which doesn't sound very meditative, but you're like Oming at the top of your lungs for 2-3 minutes, something about that process, and there's no way I can prove what it was, but I don't know if it was the sound vibration or just the Oming focus took me out of my chatter. I don't know. It doesn't matter to me because it worked. I had these incredible experiences that I could remember and write down 2,000-3,000 word journal entries of what had gone on in a half an hour meditation. And that was, for me, a big game changer. So if you find you're not having enough energy because you're falling asleep, well, it could be a number of reasons why you're falling asleep. Try Oming as literally so someone could hear you outside the room that you're Oming in, and just try that out. And Chris, let me know if you're listening how that works for you, because it's my number one thing that I think helps me. So I think that's all. We had some more questions, but I don't know how long people can listen to a webinar on us. Hopefully they make it through the end. Any final words of wisdom before you take off on your jet here in a couple hours?
Acknowledge that you are on a journey, and don't get frustrated with the process. Every day is a new day, and every day is there's time for a new meditation. Let go of your expectations and be open. The universe is rich and plentiful, and there's a lot in store if you're willing to receive.
I would just like to say thanks for everyone that was watching or listening, and if the video doesn't come out that great. And thanks for sticking through it to the end. Oliver has you'll be getting in the email, Oliver has a book coming out, not related to meditation, but as one of his sideline things he does, which is as a tour guide. So if you happen to be German or able to read German, you'll want to check that out. And let us know what you thought of the webinar, because we could certainly do them again if it's provided some value for you. And thanks for your time. Happy
Thanks
meditating.
for having me, and
Sure.
happy holidays.
Happy holidays. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.